Pennsylvania Godfather Russell Bufalino allegedly paid Frank the Irishman Sheeran to assassinate Union leader Jimmy Hoffa. He may also have been involved in a CIA plot to assassinate Fidel Castro. This video explores the life and untold story of the relatively unknown Mafia boss Russell Bufalino. The Bufalino criminal family, also known as the Northeastern Pennsylvania crime family, has long governed the underbelly of Pennsylvania and New York, with the infamous Russell Bufalino as its most renowned godfather. Bufalino, also known as the Quiet Don, established himself as one of the most powerful and low-profile leaders of the American Mafia in the mid-20th century. His life has inspired more than one fictional dramatization of his life, the most recent of which was the 2019 film, The Irishman. Later in this video, you will learn of Bufalino's importance to the plot of the movie and the celebrity actor who portrays his character. While Martin Scorsese's film focuses primarily on author Frank Sheeran's version of what happened in Philadelphia from the 1950s through the 1970s, Russell Bufalino's story extended well beyond that. Like many of his contemporaries, Russell Bufalino's career in organized crime began modestly. Born in Sicily on October 3, 1903, his parents moved to Buffalo, New York, when he was very young. An impoverished young man, Bufalino turned to theft and robbery to make ends meet. He quickly created a reputation as a rising criminal lord. He rose through the ranks until he eventually met the brutal mobster Joseph Barbara, infamous for his bootlegging operations. As a fellow Sicilian, Barbara welcomed Bufalino into his fold, and the two joined forces in Endicott, New York, which was Barbara's domain. Bufalino's ties with Barbara introduced him to the American Mafia and a life of power and money. In 1957, Barbara got Bufalino to arrange a conference of mobsters in Appalachian, New York, where Barbara owned a ranch. The Appalachian Conference, as subsequently called, was held to settle disagreements arising from the death of Albert Anastasia, the mobster who founded the notorious Assassination Squad Murder Incorporated. Esteemed crime families from the United States, Cuba, and Italy graced the conference. Unfortunately for the gangsters, local cops raided the ranch after receiving a tip-off. Although the mobsters ran into the adjoining woods, not all were successful in evading capture as local, and federal agents arrested Bufalino and other renowned godfathers. Despite having the charges against them dropped, Barbara's reputation in the Mafia was shattered due to the bust. He retired shortly after, and Bufalino took his position. As crime overlord of Endicott, Russell Bufalino decided to expand his empire to Pennsylvania. He took over the clothing business, gambling, and loan sharking operations in Kingston, Pennsylvania. At the height of his power, Bufalino was a silent partner in Pennsylvania's medical industries, the largest ammunition supplier to the U.S. government, and had close relations with the U.S. Congress. Moreover, it is said that he assisted the CIA in their 1961 conspiracy to assassinate Fidel Castro following the Cuban Revolution. According to the newspaper The Times Leader, the CIA enlisted Bufalino and many other Mafia members, including Sam Giancana, Johnny Roselli, and Santo Trafficante, to help in a covert operation to assassinate Castro using a poisoned drink in the months preceding the Bay of Pigs invasion. The Quiet Don even had clout in the American film industry. When singer Al Martino was passed over for the role of Johnny Fontaine in the film The Godfather, he turned to Bufalino. Bufalino personally approached Paramount Pictures head Robert Evans, and Martino was shortly cast. Wanda Ruddy, the wife of the film's producer, subsequently remarked Russell Bufalino had final script approval of The Godfather. It is only apt that a real-life godfather should have a say in such a movie. As recent as 2019, his legacy was brought to the big screen once more in the movie The Irishman, this time in the form of a reported account of his role in Jimmy Hoffa's historic abduction, a highly infamous event we will talk about later. In The Irishman, Robert De Niro plays hitman Frank Sheeran, who is accused of assassinating Hoffa at the behest of the Bufalino. Joe Pesci plays Russell Bufalino, who was famously mild-tempered. It was said he enjoyed Prosciutto bread, red wine, and boxing. According to a previous police chief, Bufalino was old school, a true gentleman, and did not flaunt his wealth. He managed most of his business from his modest Kingston home on East Orange Street. According to a 114-page FBI file on Bufalino, he was one of the two most powerful men in the Mafia of the Pittston, Pennsylvania area. Hence, it makes sense that Bufalino was under constant FBI monitoring. Bufalino encountered Frank, the Irishman Sheeran, for the first time in 1955 at a truck stop in Endicott, New York, when Bufalino offered Sheeran tools to fix his faulty truck. At the time, the Irishman knew close to nothing about the Mafia. However, their relationship changed shortly after Bufalino accepted Sheeran into his Mafia family and offered to mentor him in exchange for Sheeran attending to his businesses.
It's a trap!
In Charles Brandt's biography of Frank Sheeran, I Heard You Paint Houses, Frank says, Russell would ask me to drive him to different places and wait for him in the car while he did a little business in somebody's house or in a bar or a restaurant. He added, Russell Bufalino was as big as Al Capone had been, maybe bigger. According to Sheeran, this business quickly devolved into murder.
That's wild.
In recounting the time Bufalino ordered a hit on the legendary criminal Crazy Joe Gallo, with whom he had a feud, Sheeran shared insights into why Bufalino preferred for him to handle the job. I didn't know who Russ had in mind, but he needed a favor, and that was that. They didn't give you much advance notice. I don't look like a Mafia shooter. I have very fair skin. None of these Little Italy people or Crazy Joe and his people had ever seen me before. Neither men were ever convicted of the crime. This leads us to the rumor that Russell Bufalino called the hit on Jimmy Hoffa. During his tenure, Bufalino became close to Jimmy Hoffa, the ambitious and renowned leader of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. According to Brandt, Hoffa sought to strengthen his leadership of the union by getting rid of his adversaries. Hence, he consulted his friend Russell Bufalino. Bufalino then introduced Hoffa to Sheeran. The two got acquainted on a phone call Sheeran described as an interview for a job. Hoffa was in Detroit, while Frank was in Philadelphia. Hoffa's first words to Frank reportedly were, I heard you paint houses, which translates as I heard you kill people. Paint refers to the blood that splatters on the wall. Sheeran responded, yeah, I do my own carpentry too, which means I'd get rid of the corpses too. According to Brandt's recounting, Frank received the job, was flown to Detroit the next day, and started working for Hoffa. Sheeran proceeded to help Hoffa get and keep the leadership position until the union boss was arrested and imprisoned on racketeering charges. While in prison, a new boss was installed. Hoffa was permanently replaced in the eyes of the Teamsters and the Mafia. However, Hoffa was keen to reclaim his post when he was released in 1972.
Dave, this is crazy.
Man, that's gonna be hard.
Bufalino, on the other hand, had a different plan which concluded with eliminating Hoffa. The Quiet Don had begun to perceive Hoffa as an unpredictable and uncontrolled man who could cause unintended damage. Sheeran later confessed that Bufalino contacted him at this point. Subscribe to the channel so you get our latest videos on influential world figures when we upload them. Despite a continued friendship with Hoffa, the Irishman's loyalty ultimately remained with his boss. That means he didn't ask questions when the Bufalino requested a hit job. According to Sheeran, Bufalino arranged for a few mobsters, including Sheeran, to meet Hoffa at the Match's Red Fox restaurant. The last place the union boss was seen before he vanished and was pronounced dead in 1982. From the restaurant, Sheeran claimed to have driven Hoffa to an empty house in Detroit, escorted him inside, and shot him twice in the back of the head. He was then hauled through the kitchen and taken to a crematorium, where he was burnt to ash. Bufalino was arrested in 1977 for extortion and was in ill health by the time he was released. He remained the Mafia family's leader until he died in a Scranton nursing facility in 1994. The Silent Don was 90 years old and one of the rare mobsters of his caliber to pass away naturally rather than from a hit. Now that you've heard the story of Russell Bufalino, the Quiet Don who built up the Pennsylvania Mafia, check out the untold truth about self-styled mob lawyer Frank Regano, who made his name representing organized crime figures such as Santo Trafficante Jr. and Carlos Marcello, and also served as the lawyer for Teamsters leader Jimmy Hoffa. Thank you for staying with us.